Welcome to the MVP show. Today we have Sahan from Australia. He's based in Melbourne, Australia. One of the great MVPs out there in our community, massively into technology. Originally comes from Colombo, Sri Lanka, a place that I want to go back to and enjoy the food, as you'll hear shortly. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guy.com/225. Now let's get on with the show. Sahan, welcome to the MVP show.
Thank you, Mark. How are you?
Very good, very good. So it's a bit of a damp day where I am in the world. Where are you based?
I'm based in Melbourne, and it's actually a good day. It's sunny out there, so not a great day to be inside the house. So probably should get out and have some fun.
Where did you originate from? I see, I can't even pronounce your last name. How do you pronounce your last name?
It's Wijayasekera. It's a typical Sri Lankan name. So yeah, I'm from Sri Lanka.
Wow. Okay, man. So many smart people come from Sri Lanka.
Yeah, there's quite a few in the dynamics world. Yeah,
very impressive. Very impressive. So, how long you been living in Melbourne, and do you get to go home much?
Yeah, I've been in Melbourne for the last 12 years, and I try to go often as possible. But for the last 3 years, I haven't been back. But before that, I used to travel every couple of years. I'll go back home.
Okay. And so, any reason for not going in the last three? Just not worked out, or what?
No, it's just the commitments. And within the last 2 years, I changed my job to Colorado, so I didn't take any leave as soon as I changed. So and a few family commitments as well due to those. Yeah.
If I was to go to Sri Lanka, which I haven't yet, sorry, I've been to Colombo.
Okay, that's good.
I was stuck on the tarmac in Colombo for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours on a trip I was going to Ethiopia at the time, and to fly from New Zealand, you had to stop over in Colombo. So the best food, what's the best thing to eat there? What do you highly recommend?
It's typical Sri Lankan food. So if you like seafood, you get some really good seafood over there. But if you go for the rice and curry, you get some of the best chicken curries, crab curries, fish curries, a lot of curries. So go for the local cuisine. That's the best.
It's right on lunchtime here, and you've got me salivating with the, I love crab. Crab is just, one of my favorite sea meats. And
oh yeah, you should try some of the Sri Lankan mud crabs. They're awesome.
So what led you to ultimately move to Australia?
So in 2006, I moved to Australia to do my master's in e-business. So once I completed, to be honest, the very reason I moved to Australia is my wife. So I met my wife online on MSN through one of my friends, got to know her and asked her out. Initially, I was planning to go to Singapore to do my master's. But then because of my wife, I changed my mind, came to Australia, completed my master's, got married, and decided to stay here.
Wow. And so how did you get into Microsoft Bizapps? Like you said, e-business, is that what you did your degree in?
Yes, e-business. Surprisingly, the CRM was one of the subjects I had, but I never anticipated that I'm going to be in the CRM business after I completed my business masters. But how I got into was in Sri Lanka when I worked as a PMO for a software development company. But when I came to Australia, completed my master's, I couldn't find a job in the project management space. So for around 3 months, I was looking for a job and I got desperate. But I was also good in IT support and IT admin as well. So I took up a role as an IT support administrator for a printing company. And this happened to be one of the largest printing companies in Australia. And they acquired another IT services company. And as a part of that process, they wanted to implement CRM. And my boss was like, hey, Sahan, you already do some support in SharePoint and WSS3. Why don't you look into this? Why don't you look into this implementation and understand this software and learn how to support it? I was like, okay. And I went to do my first applications training in Melbourne. I got through the exam, and at that time, I was really figuring out which career I should choose. Should I go as a systems administrator, do the courses there, and continue in the line of becoming IT manager? So I went to Seek, and I just Googled Microsoft Dynamics, and I saw the job post, and I saw the salaries, and I was like, this is not a bad career. So let me get into this and let me study a bit more. And I did my customizations training, did my installation training certification, and started as a junior consultant at Oakton.
Wow, very good. For those listening, Seek is kind of like a job search engine in Australia and New Zealand. That's very interesting. So you started, did you say at Oakton?
Yes, I did start at Oakton.
Wow. I haven't heard that name for a while.
Yes, that was back in 2008.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so that's so cool. So what's you obviously became an MVP. What happened as part of that journey? Like, at what point did you realize that about the MVP program, and then what was your journey to becoming an MVP?
So the very first time I came across MVP was in 2003 in Sri Lanka. That's when I attended one of the Windows user groups in Sri Lanka, and there were only three MVPs back then, and one of them was a guy named Wellington Pereira. He was a .NET MVP. I went to his office. I saw the guy, and at that time he had two DVDs that were made by Microsoft around .NET, and he had a Motorola phone with a Windows OS in there, not the 8.1, but the old OS. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm always into gadgets, so I saw this guy playing with this phone, and I was like, yeah, what is this? And he's like, oh, I got it from Microsoft. They gave it for me just to play around and give some feedback about it. I was like, really? How did you do that? And it's like, I'm MVP. And that's the first time I came across the word MVP. I asked him about it, and I was like, yeah, this is something I should become one day. And after coming here, and when I started in CRM, I forgot about it. And then when I started in CRM, I came across for the first time you and Leon Tribe as MVPs. And this is all spiked up again. And I was like, yep, now I can. This is one of the dreams I had when I was in uni. And now I'm in the Microsoft business. There's actually a MVP program for Dynamics. So this is something I should do. So with time, with commitments, around that time I had my son. So I got quite busy, and now he's 8 years old. So from around 3 years time, I had a bit more time. So I started blogging. I started creating my YouTube videos, and then I also got into organizing events with Nadija Bomiria, who is also a fellow MVP. So started organizing CRM Saturday events with him, and eventually I got some activity in there, and there was I participated in some of the user groups, and eventually I got nominated by Nadija to become MVP.
Very cool. Wow, what a journey that started, so long ago in Sri Lanka. That would have been over 10 years ago between when you heard about it, right, and becoming
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So cool. What have you learned since becoming an MVP? What has been the things that you didn't realize and has been like insightful to you?
It's mainly the community support, Mark. I mean, and this is one of the strongest things about Dynamics is even when I got started in Dynamics back in 2008, I remember looking up for MVP posts from you, Leon Tribe, Donna Edwards, and there was a big community for Dynamics, and that is where I learned half of my things. And by becoming MVP, I got even more closer to the community, and the knowledge of people pushing the platform to the maximum limit, and seeing some of the problems and the resolutions they come up with, and that has been fantastic.
Any kind of recommendations you'd have or give to others, that was considering this is something that perhaps they wanted to get across their career?
Yeah, it is. It is something. You shouldn't become an MVP for the just for the title. It's. I look at it as a byproduct. It's a byproduct of doing something you are passionate about. It's a byproduct of doing something that you love doing. You love the product. You love talking about this product. You love sharing your knowledge about it, and MVP comes as a byproduct. But because if you try to do it to get the title, then once you get it, you lose that whole interest on it. So yeah, it's always a byproduct, but it comes as a reward for doing what you love doing.
There's a lot of folks out there that that I suppose don't realize there's a level of commitment even to the MVP program, you know, because it is an annual program, you get renewed each year. So it doesn't matter if you're a rock star 2 years ago, if you're not a rock star this year in the renewal cycle in the MVP world, you might not get renewed. So kind of what's that level? Do you find that there's a level of pressure on you, or do you just so enjoy it? How do you kind of manage not getting burnt out between your day job, between your family, and of course contributing as an MVP?
Yeah, so always on a daily basis, I have my time that I have kept aside in the day for learning. So, or to do my work. So that can be either late night, or if I'm waking up at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. It's that time window when everyone else is asleep and I'm up. And that time I use to research about things, new technologies, and look into what are the new features that's been released, and even use that time to go and create a video or the blog post. So lately I have been focusing a lot on IoT. So that's why within last 1 year I haven't had much posts as I would like to have, because for me, I mean, I've been blogging about Power Apps, Flow, and Dynamics, everything. But then I realized IoT is really interesting, and nobody's really, I mean, there's not much content on that. So I embarked on a journey to learn IoT, but that is such a broad subject, because when you go into IoT, you're not just talking about connecting a device. You need to look at the IoT device, programming that, connecting that to a SaaS platform, then getting the data from that SaaS platform to a reporting platform. There's so much to learn about it. So I've finally worked out one of the projects. So I've blogged about it around 4 articles, and I've created some videos as well. So yeah.
So home automation, your place must be fully automated end to end with getting into IoT.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So much so that my wife won't like it.
No way. See, every time I automate something in my home, my wife loves it because she would never have thought to do it. But when, if I say the A word, and I don't want to say it because she's listening, of course, our Amazon friend. The thing is, she loves it. Like, the lock into our house is now thumbprint, biometric, and I can do PIN numbers, I can use physical keys, whatever. And when I first put it in, she was like, this is stink. Now she never has to worry about having keys. She puts her finger on it. Like, I get a log of, all that data, of course, has been fed into whose finger was it that was used, who used what code. And of course, now, all my lights are operated automatically. I've got 3 big roller doors. They're all on IoT. My gates on, sorry, not on IoT. They are all automated, right? So I can flick, turn on, off. Tell me kind of what are yours? What have you got hooked up?
So I've got a few lights. So I've got all the Philips Hue lights at my house. I've got Google Nest as the thermostat, and I've got the Logitech Harmony as my remote, and I've got the Google Home in all of the rooms. So here's where she didn't like it. So every time I finish work and I'm coming back around 6 o'clock, that's the time my son comes, he finishes his homework and he starts watching TV for a bit. and I've got a big Sonos setup plugged into the TV as well, so the sound is quite loud. And my wife is in the kitchen, and I'm calling her to say that, honey, I'm getting late. I don't want her to get the wrong impression if I'm getting late from work. So, and she never picks up the phone. Why? Because the TV is up in high volume. So what did I do? I linked this up to IFTTT. So with IFTTT, it monitors if there's a missed call from my house. It reduces the volume in the TV, and it turns the hue lights into red.
I love it. I love it. That's cool. That's very
That's
cool.
where she hates it.
What about, have you done anything with geofencing?
Geofencing, not really. With Philips Hue, I have when I leave the house, sometimes if I haven't turned off the lights, it'll turn it off by itself. So that's sort of basic geofencing I've done, but I haven't done any of the advanced ones. But I'll get into that.
Yeah. One of the things I'm working on is when my car approaches my property, let's say it's about 1K away, I'm putting a geofence in that will automatically open my gates. You know, so that I'm not waiting as I'm coming down the road to my property. It automatically opens. And then the other thing I've done is that on mine and my wife's phone, you can feed that, and I'm using Raspberry Pi in my case. I can feed that so it says, okay, if both those devices are off the property, right? So therefore, we're obviously both not there. So then it runs a procedure to make sure those lights off, those, doors locked. So like I've got these roller doors. If they were open, it would actually notify and say, hey, in the lockdown procedure, those are still open, and automatically close them. So yeah, it's quite cool way what you can do. I mean, Andrew Lee is another guy that's he's into his automation, and I know he's done a lot of stuff with lighting and stuff on his where you can change the mood of the room based on what's playing, the movie playing. And I think you can basically take each corner of the screen and actually have it do a different color effect based on what's on screen.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, there are so many possibilities in IoT. It's a good spare hobby to have as well.
Yeah. So in from a business perspective, have you got into like PLC controls and feeding data in? Have you played with anything like that? Outside of, when IoT first came out in the Microsoft arena, everyone had their kind of I forget what the device was called, but the chip, DMX chip, and doing bits of look at that. But like, I've worked in former careers in, pharmaceutical manufacturing where everything was driven using PLC controls. So whether it was temperature sensors, whether it was pipes were open and liquid was flowing, whether, what level or degree was it closed, everything was kind of driven by PLC into these old software applications. Have you done anything kind of in that area?
PLC is the next thing I want to do. So initially, my first project was around using the MX chip and connecting the MX chip to the Azure IoT Central platform, emitting some of the temperature data. And not only that, now that you have received that device normally, how can we orchestrate that into Dynamics? How can we get that into field service? And then from field service, how can we do some proactive maintenance around sending some self-healing codes and self-healing commands? That's been my focus to get this from a business application perspective. But definitely, my next step is around looking into the PLC side of things.
Yeah, nice. Very cool, mate. Look at this. Time is absolutely flowing as we get into topics that interest us. I always like to wrap these up with a couple of quick fire questions. Are you ready for yours? Okay, first one. Have you had your 15 minutes of fame? Are you familiar with that quote, your 15 minutes of fame?
Yes. I haven't really had a incident where I had my 15 minutes of fame. Probably The only time I would have gone in public on a public either YouTube or TV is around doing some of the CRM Saturday events, and when you have some of these speaker sessions that go out on YouTube.
Yeah, so makes sense. What's the biggest purchase you've ever made?
My camera. I'm also into photography, so my Canon 5D Mark III.
Oh, you're a Canon boy, eh?
Yep, I'm a Canon boy.
Interesting. I'm Sony all
Okay.
the way.
Yep.
Yeah. What state or country do you never want to go back to? You might have visited, but you never plan on returning.
Um,
Don't say South Australia. That would just be mean.
no, not really. I was gonna say Tasmania.
Oh,
Reason is,
yeah.
you haven't seen me. I'm not a exercise healthy person. I love to eat, and I happen to. I love South Australia because it's flat. It's the whole city is flat. I can just keep walking, and there's so many good restaurants over there. But in Tasmania, I was there for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and to go to a restaurant, even to go to the clan side, it's a hill. You have to walk up, you have to walk down, then there's another hill. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And that is the only time I didn't go to a restaurant, and I actually cooked the food in my apartment. So yeah, probably Tasmania.
I tell you what, though, at New Year's they have what's called the Taste of Tasmania, and that is some amazing food. Well worth a visit for that. What's been your favorite Netflix series?
For the one for the TV series that came out for Formula One. I'm a big Formula One fan, and there's a series called Drive to Survive, and it's all about the Formula One teams, and it's up to season 2. I love that TV series, and when it comes out, I just watch it straight away for a week.
Nice. Now this one's a bit abstract because you're married and all, but you'll get the concept. Would you rather date someone you love or date someone who loves you?
Interesting question. Okay, I would date someone I love.
Okay. I like it. Good answer. What mistake have you made that if you could redo it again, you probably wouldn't make it?
Probably back in Sri Lanka. It's a mistake I did when I was in high school. So a couple of friends, we started doing graphics animations back then. This is back into 1997. We started working with 3D Max, Houdini, Caligari, True Space, and we started creating all these animations and we gave it for all the events in the school. So curtain races, there'll be a projector, there'll be a nice animation going with all these beautiful videos. And we did one for one of our Science Day programs, and the chief guest was one of the guys from HBO. So after the event, he came to us and asked, "Who created this animation?" And I was like, "Yeah, we did it," and it nearly took us 6 months to 1 year to create it, because back then I had a Pentium 1 and a Pentium 2.
Yeah. Wow.
So rendering a video on this, a 10-minute video will take at least 6 months. So he said, we did it. And he was like, I'm interested in doing a commercial like this for HBO Sri Lanka. Why don't you come and speak to us? I was like, okay. Me and my 2 friends, we went there, and we sat in a boardroom, and they said, this is the concept we want. Can you do it? I said, yeah, we can do that. And he said, how much money do you want? And I said, no, how much money do you want to offer? And he said, 200,000 rupees. In 1997, 200,000 rupees to an 18-year-old kid was a big amount. And I was like, this is wow, this is great. This might be our career. I came back home. I told my mom, and my friend went and told his dad. Both of our parents said, you better not do this, because you better focus on your exams. If you're going to do this, you're not going to do your exams well. Just forget about it. This is not the important thing. Do your exams. So we forgot about it and we did it. But if you look at the music video, animations in the graphic industry in Sri Lanka, everybody's making a thumping amount of money. And that should have been our career. That's one of the biggest mistakes I did.
No, wow. What a good story, man. That is awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Before you go, where can people follow what you're up to online? Do you have a blog, Twitter, that type of thing?
Yes, I've got my blog, which is d365blogger.com. And I'm on my Twitter, which is hashtag d365blogger. And also I'm on LinkedIn. If you search for me as Sahan Wijayasekera, I should be there. And all of my posts, I put it on LinkedIn as well. So yeah.
Hey, it's been my pleasure to have you on the show today. Thanks for listening. If you would like to attend the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, something I do each year, feel free to get in touch. If you go to nz365guy.com/90daymc, or just go to my blog, nz365guy.com, and click on mentoring or coaching, you'll see the option there. It's 100% free. Maybe I can help you on your career or in your journey. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guy.com/225. See you next Thursday.